sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out
Oh
in the middle
yeah,
of
that's
nowhere?
what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off when I was having this fit. I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, you know. Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network. Welcome to UFO Undercover, with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Yes, Joe Montaldo. Good evening and welcome to Joe Montaldo. For anybody asks, I'm smoking a cigar. No, not marijuana, cigar. God, y'all always got y'all's heads in the dirt. I know I don't smoke cigarettes either. No, I gave them up. Oh, God. Jesus, I gave up cigarettes 16 years ago. So before I even introduced the show, since somebody wants to know about this so desperately, they had to page me 800 times. So when I was young, I didn't smoke at all. And then around 17, I went to go get a cigarette from a friend of mine, and it was lit, and I puffed on it like a dumbass and ended up smoking. Then I quit when I joined the Navy. Because, you know, jogging 3 miles, when you smoke, it's not the easiest thing to do. So I quit. So I said, all right, I'm not going to never smoke again. So I'm on transfer, waiting on a tarmac on a plane to go to one of my duty stations. So we're all sitting there and everybody's chilling and nothing's going on. Back then, you don't forget you could smoke in planes back then. Yes, I'm like ancient. Yeah. But anyway.
And in elevators. They had ashtrays.
Anywhere, really. So we're sitting there and all of a sudden you hear the pilot come over the PA. They thought the plane coming down. So I don't know who was in the wrong place, us or them, but he was taking off and his wheels actually touched the top of our jet as he went by. That's how close it was. Well, guess what? I started smoking right then. And I asked somebody if they had a cigarette. I started smoking again right there and didn't quit again. I quit again in about 10 years. But last time I quit, so out of all my years of smoking, I've only probably smoked about 15 or 18, but I haven't had a cigarette in 14, almost 15 years. Yes. Once you get past that first year, it doesn't get any easier. I just thought I'd tell y'all. So, anyway, welcome to UFO Undercover. Hope everyone's having a great evening, great morning, great afternoon, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. No, that's not Jeffrey. That's Jay. Who thought that was Jeffrey?
I'm much better looking than this
I
Jeffrey.
know. I was going to say, man, That Jeffrey guy's scary looking, man. Oh, yes. And he's a Satan worshiper too. Yes, he stuffs kitty cats. That's what he does for a living. He's a. I'm not. I can't even say that on the air because that was just a stupid comment. That's not what you call someone who's. It's a taxidermist, you moron. Yes, no, you're a moron for the word you use. That has nothing to do. No, I can't mention it on this show. It's not the word for this show, but really, yes, taxidermist. Yes, I don't. They're a dying breed these days. There's not as many hunters as they used to.
Yeah, it's a dying art. They actually, I was catching up. No, I'm gonna be catching up, but watching a lot of This Old House on Roku, and I forget which one it was. Norm Abrams or someone said that the trades are dying out. I mean, it's all the art forms are dying out. Painting, underwater basket weaving, whatever you name it. The people just aren't interested.
Well, you got AI coming out. AI is going to replace a lot of people.
All creativity is out the window.
Well, Kirby, yeah, we can talk a little bit about AI, but AI really is. It's not perfect by any means. Plus, you can't copyright it. So it's like this banner you see behind Jay and I. That is an AI generated banner. Here, let me take us both down real quick, and I'll let y'all. Now, that banner, which would have took a normal person a couple of hours, maybe even a day or two to put together, took the AI thing 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So my friend Jeff Weiner, he's one of the winners at Writers at Illustrated. He's a winner. He's an author and an illustrator winner. And both his daughters are winners too. Very talented family. And his roommate is also a winner. Kind of crazy. So he's like, whoops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. And I didn't know that button did that, by the way. But so he.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. I got a touch screen. I don't know.
But so I just seen Christy in here. But anyway, so the thing about it is, it's a strange, it's just strange how fast this product can work.
Well, and it's been being used a lot. You can tell on a lot of these YouTube videos, particularly some of the paranormal videos. Years and years ago, they were doing ones. They were talking about the Galactic Federation, and all the script was spoken by an AI generated voice, and you can just tell because it reads words wrong. It literally like follows whatever syntax you put. So if you write dot 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 or decimal, it goes decimal. So it's really annoying.
Yeah, I know. One of our friends asked it to make a dingo and a kangaroo fighting, and it gave the kangaroo an arm in the chest, which I never understood, and eyes in the head. I mean, it was really weird. It's kind of limited. So when Jeff did this for me, he said, "I'm gonna make a comic book for you." Comic books take a little time to make. You got to do the little balloons with all the words in them, and you got to do all the other stuff and do all the artwork and all the writing. So he typed in what kind of artwork he wanted. And he typed in what he wanted it to be about. 4 minutes later, it produced a comic book, and a good comic book. It looked like a comic book. When you flip through the pages, all the little bubbles were right where they should be. Nice little stupid sentences in them, phrases and stuff about what was going on. You could understand the story all the way through in 4 minutes. So comic companies will tell you at least a week, but it's usually a month per comic to produce.
Yeah, there's a lot of processes. I mean, first you have to have the story, then you have to have the guys illustrate the characters that are in that particular episode. Then they got to color block everything. Then they got to put all these layers together. So you've got inkers, you've got colorists, you've got artists, you've got writers, you've got editors who are like, "Oh, this panel's too big, shrink it down." It's a huge process.
Well, Raymond, the reason we're bringing this up is simply because if it can do this kind of stuff, what can it do with UFO art? And I don't mean art for our pleasure. I mean art in the simple fact that let's see who we can fake out. Now, I've seen several AI generated cases lately. Somebody did a TikTok, well, not a TikTok, whatever you call it, a Tic Tac video. You couldn't tell it was fake. It looked just like any jet airplane anywhere. The thing actually, what it did was, this is what the guy told me. What it did was it copied the entire layout of one of our fighters that it had access to, and simply went in and changed the parameters and the numbers in the layout. That's all it did. So you actually got a real layout. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat stuff like that. Something that can pull it out
I
of
don't know
nowhere in
though.
no time at
There are
all.
certain ways to tell electronically. So I mean, if I have a degree in video, if someone had taken a video of a test flight of any fighter jet, and then later on taken that footage and digitally covered it with a Tic Tac, I would be able to tell the
See,
difference.
it
It's
doesn't
not
do it that
right
way, though.
right as soon as I see the footage, but if I take that footage and run it through an oscilloscope and other test
See,
equipment,
it
you can
doesn't
tell
do it
right
that
away.
way. It doesn't do it that way. It's one piece. That's it.
Oh, you can still tell.
So Writers of the Future brought in a special group for illustrators to be able to tell. They said by the end of this year, the end of next year, that would be impossible to tell the difference.
Maybe for a 2D thing, I would agree with that. But with a moving object,
they've already faking
them. A lot of things that with a moving object you have to get right. Because as it goes further in the distance, not only does the color of it get dimmer, but the size and also there's
let me explain. So you're not grasping the concept. It's already got the motion.
It
doesn't have to make the motion because on the internet there are 100,000 of these available. So it can just cut the motion out and take it on their paper. And because of the way it makes it all in one piece. There's no seams. There's nothing to look at. There's nothing to hide. So you know how the illustrators catch you? Not from the piece of art, from the pieces of art leading up to the piece of art. Yeah. Everyone usually does sketches and drawings before they actually do the piece of art. That's how they catch it. Hey, Christy, it's and I'm serious, dudes. That's how they catch it. The artwork, some of it now is so good you cannot tell the difference. That's why there are big arguments now about copyrights and other things, and AI gets itself in trouble. So it was asked to write a book. Congress actually did this. Asked it to write a book on it. Gave it a subject. Wrote it. It did a pretty good book. I want to say it was something like 75,000 words. The story was coherent. It wasn't a great story, but it was coherent. Just like any amateur writer out there, there's no way if you read it that you would have known AI created it. But there was. AI, unfortunately, has a tendency to pull from known stories. So like
plagiarist.
Yeah, so it is a plagiarist, a big one. But if you read a lot and you see, there's like a scene in Expanse, where he says, "I'm that guy." You hear that anywhere, you're going to know where that came from. You know it's not part of that film or that movie. You know where that came from. He tells him, "No, you're not that guy," and then he tells the other guy, "I'm that guy," just before he blows his brains out. And I can't help he blew his brains out, people. I couldn't stop him from doing that. The guy deserved it, trust me. But anyway, it's different. I didn't understand it. I was like Jay. I figured it would have been way easier to understand this. But the more I talk with the professionals over at writers and illustrators, the more I realize, because you got to remember, Tom Wood, who's a personal friend of mine, and Echo Chernick, are two of the top illustrators, and not just the United States, but the planet. I mean, Tom does NFL, NBA, all kind of big stuff. And so the thing of it is they're really, really good. And even they are starting to have problems. So now, in order to submit a piece of artwork, you have to submit the work up to the artwork with it. So you can no longer just submit a piece of artwork. You've got to submit your process up to it. And not just not just the process of the drawing, but the written process of how you came to this. Hey, guys, we're not the ones changing things. AI is tough, but AI's got, Jay's right. It's got faults here and there. You just got to know what they are.
And also what you're saying about the actual creative process, I don't know how all writers do their things. They don't all do outlines, but if you're going to do a cohesive series of books, you have to have an outline. You're like, this is going to happen at this beginning, and this is the end, and I'll fill in the middle as we go. That's what Tolkien did, but he got stuck. So he intended for the Lord of the Rings to come first, but he got stuck, and he was like, well, I'll go over to this other project. Then The Hobbit came about, and he finished that book right away. And while he was doing The Hobbit, he would, draw down his ideas about what Hobbiton looked like and what the Elven runes would look like and what the Elves language sounded like. And those notes became his background for Lord of the Rings. And then it became the Silmarillion. So you can see the process, where he started at, where he got stuck and all the stuff that went in between. You can see the process. The electronic stuff, videos, I almost guarantee if there's a fake AI video, I'm probably going to detect it. But right now, we're at the early stages. 10, 20 years from now, Hollywood is hoping it to be seamless. So it looks like it's been captured on celluloid film. And in fact, in order for them to actually send it to the theaters, they're going to have to somehow take it to the labs and process that digital information and expose it to an emulsion. And if they do that before you know that it was digital, you'd never know. Yeah. So if you make a movie digitally and then transfer it to emulsion film, and if you're smart, you make it like you have 10 hours of footage that you cut to 2 hours of movie, you just created a false creative process.
So Carol, the reason we're talking about all this is because lately I have been getting abduction clips of like aliens in people's houses and aliens in the backyard. Now, and that's not the first. I mean, we've had clips like this over the years, many times. We have people send us stuff all the time. There's a great one I posted. It's out of Pensacola, Florida. So what you see is, you see this girl in her house, a young woman, probably in her mid 30s, maybe late 30s. She's older now, I imagine. But there's a white picket fence in the yard. And you see something moving behind the white picket fence, but you can't really see what it is. So the person with the camera is just kind of walking along and scanning. And all of a sudden, when you look, there's a gray looking through the pickets of the fence. Of course, the person kind of freaked because, the gray wasn't supposed to be there because, no such thing as aliens. So they freaked out. So on several nights, they caught these grays around this outside of this white fence. Now, whether they were being taken or not is a good bet, but I mean, nobody really knows, but I mean, it's a good bet they were if it was a real film. Now, is it a real film? So when you look at this really good, I've been doing this a long time, and fortunately for me, I'm in the field, so I have people I can send it to that actually, like Bruce Maccabee and others who specialize in this stuff. So I'm looking at this, and it just seems to be just little things that don't look right. Part of face, the eye, the way it moved, which we expect aliens to move differently, by the way. We don't expect them to copy our movements. But the number one thing that gave this video away was what? The reaction of the camera person. So most of the video, there is no reaction from the camera person whatsoever. So originally they tried to say this was like a house video camera looking. Back then, we really didn't have anything that sophisticated. And more importantly, the gray is in different parts of the yards along the fences. And you could tell that the camera was moving at different times, not just panning, but moving. And so it kind of busted them. So I was asked to come down to their house and do an investigation. I'm like, well, look, guys, I said, I'm not believing you. So I got down there, had a long talk with them. They confessed that the video was fake, but it was real in the sense that it really happened. They could just never get it on film. They said they could actually point the camera, but it just never showed up on film. So I said, well, look, I'm in town. There's a lecture. There's a conference going on in Pensacola. I'm down here for the lecture. And if something's going on, call me. And they said, well, come around this time of night. So I get out there. It's like 2 a.m. And there's 4 or 5 of us walking around. And you hear somebody scream. And then you look over, and there's a gray standing there looking through the fence. Now, for some reason, it never went over the fence, but it kept looking at the fence. Well, I was a little younger back then, a little faster. So I'm hauling ass across the yard. I got my where's it at? My digital camcorder in my hand, and I'm running with it, trying to see what I can see.
That?
Yeah, something like that one. Yeah, it's a Panasonic, I think, but still something like that. So I'm flying across.
Samsung.
And so I got the camera in my hand, and as I approached the fence, okay, I'm not a little guy. I'm 5'11". Back then I was probably about 240, 230. And I'm running up on this thing full speed. It's going to have to move, right? It can't just stand there. And it doesn't seem like it's doing me anything or affecting me anyway. So when I hit the fence, it just falls over. Just falls over. So they had 3 cardboard cutouts that were painted really well and 2 dolls that somebody had made by hand. They're pretty good. It was pretty good, but it's a completely faked thing. So AI is just making this easier now. AI can say, I want to see a gray walking around in my house or in my backyard. So if you can provide it the video of that yard and that house, it can make the grays walking around in your house. It can make the gray look as real as anything you've ever seen. Then there's another problem. There's a little series called Taken that has allowed for abduction fakes to be done pretty easy because there's a lot of clips in there that AI can use. Oh, movie studios, who wrote that? Movie studios are suing all over the place. There's nothing they can do about it. It's not copyrighted. AI is not copyrighted. And for some reason, the government doesn't
AI
consider
is stealing copyright material.
But they don't consider it that because they don't just steal one piece, or they take the whole books and they take all kind of books. So if you looked at a book that an AI written, it's probably made up of another 100, 150 books. So there's no weird way you can take them to plagiarism. It'd be too hard to get it into a court. Unless it's something just.
But if you were right, it would be in jail the next day.
It's true. Because we would have to show intent to do it. AI is simply just an electronic program that just does it because it's trained to do that. That's how it gets away with it. That's going to change.
So then maybe the law should be whoever it was that operated that AI and said, make me this book that's like Dune that isn't like Dune, and then it comes out like Dune. That should be the guy going to jail, not necessarily the computer, or maybe both. Well,
they've showed a lot of stuff like that where it's really close. Those are not allowed to be sold. They can't sell them because they're just too close. Somebody redid the Children of Dune on AI, and it was good. And actually, I think the AI part in the front story was actually better. But the problem was basically just a copy of Dune with little pieces moved around. Mm-hmm. It was still Dune. So, I mean, you were still watching Dune. It's just you were watching AI Dune. But that's not going to fly. They're not going to let that kind of stuff fly.
And you have to argue, is that actual creative process? If a computer is just going out on the internet and just sourcing 5 million books around the planet, that's not creative. That's that's taking from others.
Well, and I'm bringing this up, people, because when people start faking all these videos and they start getting on TV and people start being lectured at conference because they've got this video that proves that aliens are in their house, it comes a point where we have to be able to figure this out. So just recently, I know y'all are aware of this, down in Miami, there was a mall, something went on at the mall. It wasn't a shooting. Everybody, it's a shooting. No, it wasn't a shooting. So there was something like 80 cop cars dispatched. It was 50 on one side and I think 30 on the other side. And there was something moving around the mall. So this is what's weird. And this is how you know this is AI and this wasn't real. So there's all kind of stuff going on. These cops are all over. You don't see. So in one picture, you see what looks to be like 3 people in the middle trying to get away. It's just a glump. The AI just made a clump out of them because it couldn't separate them. But worse than that, all the people standing on the balconies didn't have their cameras or their phones. And now remember, this is supposed to be a 10-foot alien walking through the mall. I mean, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're either going to run or you're going to take your video, one or the other. It's but they weren't running and they weren't videoing. That was a big mistake. And then the older AI, the hands and feet get stretched out. So this is your hand, and it would be stretched out to about right here. It's weird, but most of that's, but now it's getting more sophisticated. It really is getting more sophisticated. And as it gets more sophisticated, it's going to be harder for the researchers to tell. And I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to start making money off this because they're going to go make a video in their house of a gray or a reptilian or something coming through the house doing whatever. And then instead of having to write a book, this will be their way to getting on a lecture tour. What do you mean it'll never happen? You ever heard of Stan Romanek? His wife is the one who wrote the book, not him. He got famous because he got a picture or a video of an alien peeking in his window. Yes, it was fake, but still. Oh, I knew it was so bad. The saddest part to all of that is how desperate ufology was to jump on it and say it was real when it was obviously a fake. It didn't move it. It was, the whole thing was funky monkey.
If I recall the picture, if anyone ever saw the episode Corbomite Maneuver of Star Trek, they have this fake head of this alien. It's it only does this and mouth does like a ventriloquism dummy. You can tell right away it's not a real, very well done animal or alien face. That was the impression I got when I saw the picture. Like, this looks like a cardboard cutout.
Jimmy, that is true. that the whole thing. Yeah, we're not going to really talk about tonight. You know what? I promise you what I will do when Jay and I are doing the News on the Flip Side this week. I will bring it up on News on the Flip Side. It's really not appropriate for this particular show. No, it's not. No, it's true though. I know what you're saying. It's 100% true. I don't want to make you feel like it's not. But hold on. Let's see if we can do this right quick. Present share screen. There we go. So let's put this in the queue with that. Whoops, no, put it back in the queue with us. All right, I think this is the video of Stan Romanak's Alien.
Yes, it is.
And if not, we got pictures of it, but I think this is.
Was this in Man, Myth, and Monsters with Peter Graves? I think it was.
I think it was. Okay. So here it goes.
Just gonna keep it rolling there.
Oh, that's a shadow.
Let me quick run outside to the window and throw up my cardboard cutout.
All right.
Dude, get out from in front of the camera. Ugly little bastard. Okay, I don't remember it taking this long, but okay. See, there's no shadows moving now, so I don't know if there's anybody left.
They've gone outside to put the alien face in the window. Someone's turned on the light.
So we're halfway through this now. Okay, why did we get a big bright light? So there was looked like a camera flashed and a big
camera
bright
flash
light.
or a quartz movie light.
Yeah, could have been that. Still, I don't see nothing, people. I'm getting upset. I see a bunch of reflection in
there. He is, right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, there he goes, guys. Y'all seen how he lifted his head up? Oh, there he is. Where'd he go? I hope he's already gone.
Yeah, it's only up there for a few seconds.
Oh, yeah, I thought I seen him come back. Hold on.
Son of a little bastard. Oh, man, what is that?
Gay bastard. Did I say that out loud? I apologize, people.
Extreme flavors don't sell sass. Ads on LinkedIn.
He's a strange person.
Yeah, that one's pretty. Just
so let's see where it is again.
All in camera effects.
No, we're gonna roll it one more time. Oh, see, there's a flash, and then there's whatever this crazy light is, and now we should see.
It just phases in the middle there.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's paused, so y'all can see it. It's very faint.
Somewhat 3D. I think it was like a paper mache maquette or whatever the hell they made, but it's just so fake.
I don't know how far whoever wrote that. I don't know how far the windowsill is from the ground. I have to ask. I had asked that question actually way back when. Y'all think what you want to think. If you think it's real, write to me and let me know. If you think it's fake, write to me and let me know. The eyes are a little bit distorted. This one's a little stranger than this one. The head's a little distorted over here too for some reason. Let's see if we
if you look directly above it on the paused image, you can see what looks like a reverse of its head. So I can't tell, but the footage may be tampered with afterwards.
Let's go back a little bit and see. So there he is, popped up. So watch now. Pay attention as I'm going through this. I'm going to click stop, click stop, click stop. I know y'all know how anime works, right? So just pay attention and see what we see. So his eye and that left side eye moved. That eye on the right opened up bigger. Now remember, I'm looking at it reverse. Oh, look at them eyes, big eyes, looking at y'all like, I see you, baby. Put some clothes on, you ugly bastard. I can't help it if there's naked people in the room. Click again. Click, click. Now, you see how his head jerked back there? Pay attention what's going on. His head squished for a minute for some reason. I'm not sure what that effect was about. And that was pretty weird the way he just dropped down. Let's go back. There he is. See, yeah, I know it's a bitch because you can stop and pause people's stuff. Well, you know, if you're going to fake stuff, let's go back. So there he is. Is that his mouth right there? I don't see no teeth or nothing. I guess that's his nose. He looks like a genie there. See, the problem is, too, is there's a little distortion when you stop. He seems to have a lazy eye. One eye seems to move more than the other.
Yeah, and plus you have reflections of the curtains behind the camera.
Yes, you do.
The camera's probably in that black stripe in the middle.
So let's look how he goes away. It's going to be the last one, so let's look how he drops out. And then boof, right? So let's do that again. Now, there's something about the way it drops out that bothers me.
When I first saw it, I do remember my first reaction was, oh my gosh. Then when they went back on the TV shows and replayed it, it's like, it just looks like a paper mache dummy. And it wouldn't take very intricate mechanics to make the eyes close. I mean, look at Jeff Dunham. He's got dummies that talk their eyes. They got ears that wiggle. I mean, it's not that hard to do.
No, really it isn't actually. Now let's take a look at this. The picture's blown up all the way. Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Can I make it any bigger? Well, I mean, come on. I guess I won't. And there he is again.
Yeah, standard.
It's just a picture, yeah. So this is what this thing right here is supposed to be. This thing and this thing right here.
Mm-hmm. And that's what they held up in the window.
This picture right here, actually, Linda drew. I don't know who's taking claim for it now, but she drew this a long time ago. Matter of fact, if you go on the Alien Enigma website, you'll see a lot of her work that she drew way back 30 years ago that are all over ufology today. Yeah. Oh, what is this supposed to be? That looks like crap. So that's a whole different looking thing. That looks like the Roswell alien.
Very aggressive looking face.
That's Lisa Romanek. Mm-hmm. There's just stuff all over the place. He went and got his ass in a lot of trouble, though.
There was actually a much better, and I think it's a fake too, but it's really well done. 90s, 92, 3, 4-ish. And I have it on a videotape. I forget what kind of UFO show it was on, but it was like they showed the last 20 seconds of the show, quite literally the very ending of the show. And I got it on tape. And if I can get it into the computer, it shows what looks like 2 or 3 grays with a laser that has like 3 beams, and they're mutilating a cow with it. It's really fantastic. But then the grays attack the people who are videotaping them. It's fairly scary, but I don't think it's real. But it's well done.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good stuff out there. What's that, Christopher? No, we can't really promote his work, baby. I'm sorry. No, it's not something we can do. We've already done more than we should have tonight, actually. All I can tell you is read up on him, and you'll know why. Yeah, it's not something we're going to talk about in here. But the point is this is so many. Yeah, I know. There's so many fakes out there, and so much stuff going on that people want to. Oh, is that real? No, it's not really real. But people want to believe. That's what the problem. People really, 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 really want to believe. They want to know. They need to know. They need to know that what they feel and what goes through their life, and that it's actually real and it's not fake. What do you mean? Well, no, I mean, unfortunately, people fake stuff. So let's see. What's his name? Billy Myers. Let's talk about Billy Myers for a minute. So Billy Myers is a fairly famous person who's seen UFOs. So Billy is a one-armed man, drives a little scooter around, and I forgot what country he lives in.
Is that Sweden or Switzerland or
He
Austria?
speaks very, very little English. His spokesperson here is Michael. Michael Horn. That's his spokesperson.
Yeah, very well-spoken fella he is. Though.
Yes, he's an ass. Though I tore his ass.
Yeah,
out.
he's very arrogant.
No, I mean, he's an all right guy. Him and I have been on the air together a few times. It's just I had found out some stuff, which we'll get into in a minute. So Michael's original pictures were all legit. None of them were fake. They were really good pictures. And then I guess either he couldn't get them anymore or they stopped coming. Remember, people, in ufology, like most fields, you're only as good or famous as your last event or your last thing that happened. Once a year or two passes, then somebody else takes your place, takes over and says, okay, there's something better out there, even though in ufology there really isn't. One of the reasons I don't go to lectures as much as I used to is because it's basically the same old that they've been talking about for 50 years. Nothing's really, really changed. Well, ufology still has a hard time embracing abduction research, even though we've made it harder on them over the years not to. I've actually backed in quite a few people in the corners about this kind of stuff. But
yeah, if you look back in the history of the entire series of Ancient Aliens, you're going to see throughout however 15, 16 seasons, maybe a dozen, if you're lucky, a dozen shows on abduction. They really don't like to go after that one on that show at all. I don't have batteries in mine, but I do have.
He got his Thundercat sword. Yes, which one?
This will stop that. No heart, no problem. This will even suck the energy out of that one. Your show will stop working.
Yes. I know, Pete. I know. We retarded. What can I say? But the amount of fakes that go through ufology is ridiculous. So in Billy Myers' case, he's really famous and he's really having good luck. And then all of a sudden,
really fantastic footage too. His live footage was.
And then all of a sudden, he wasn't. So then he started all of a sudden, a couple of years later, he started having all this miraculous footage again.
More stuff started coming in.
Mm-hmm. We're like, wow. But then we started noticing things like the UFO
they got more elaborate each time.
Yeah, but he made mistakes like the way the UFO was through the tree. There's just mistakes in it. And so he got busted. So I was talking with Michael Horn one night, and I was like, Mike, but no, he's still. I said, Michael, look at these two pictures. There's no doubt that they're fakes. Oh, no, you just want to say that. I said, no, I like Billy, dude. I said, you're taking this the wrong way. I said, you need to tell Billy he's world famous for being honest. I don't know where these 2 or 3 pictures came from, but he needs to stop. Or if it's not him, whoever it is needs to be caught and stopped. I said, because it's doing harm to his reputation. I mean, because they were obviously fakes. And he goes, do you know, Joe, he rides a scooter with one arm. I said, yeah, let me show you something. I got a video of him, right? So there's a video of him leaving his house on a scooter with a bunch of canvases and a bunch of other stuff going up to a mountain where he used to have UFOs and drawing, and doing work up there on his. I said, if he can carry all that up there, I'm sure he can fake a UFO. I mean, since all he's got to do is carry a camera. Yeah. And he's like, I said, Michael, I said, you're getting upset. I said, the dude's busted. Get over it. There's not much you can do about it. It's like the first time I remember this. I was giving a lecture and, I'd been on Coast to Coast a couple of times and talking about different things and, people. So the first time I ever said anything about someone, and it was above stage, about 400 people. I said, it's really strange, but everybody out here has a reptilian section in their brain. And you heard the whole audience go, whoosh. If 10 people in the audience knew, they were doing good. So then people start arguing with me. Oh, Mr. Montaldo, you're wrong. I said, oh, no. He said, how can you prove it? I said, it's called science. Look it up on the internet.
There are slices of brain pictures in books.
I said, it's the part that makes us what we are. I said, it's the part. It's not that it makes us aggressive, but it makes us protective. It makes us think. I said, it's the part that isn't going to just be ruled over because somebody wants to rule over us. So I said, you need to look it up and see exactly what it is, exactly what it does. And then everybody's audience still not. So I said, okay. So, I was doing a PowerPoint. I said, while I'm doing a PowerPoint, while I was splitting the screens with her, I was looking up. I looked it up, came up, stopped the PowerPoint, and brought it up on the PowerPoint screen. I said, now, this is Harvard. Y'all know what Harvard is, right? This is their science division on the brain. I said, read clearly these 3 paragraphs. I said, I'm not going to read them to y'all. I said, I'll leave them up here for a couple of minutes as I drink some Coke. And I said, what does that tell y'all? All of y'all have a reptilian section in your brain, which means everyone in here has a common ancestor with the reptilian, not with the tall whites, not with the human type aliens, and not with the grays, just with the reptilians. I said, so maybe y'all should stop hating on the reptilians and start realizing that they're actually ancestors of ours and stop thinking they're the ones eating us when they're not. He said, well, I said, we don't know what we got, but we do know for a fact we have that reptilian DNA. There's no arguing about that. We know we have.
You can't get around it. The structure of the brain that you're talking about, if you isolate that, Gray's Anatomy, it's not an actual picture of a brain. It's I believe the guy's name was Dr. Frank M. Netter, was the illustrator for the like the Gray's Anatomy books and all those medical books.
Mm-hmm.
Just highlight the part of the brain that's reptilian, take that out, and superimpose it over an actual modern day reptilian brain. They're identical.
And the reason I bring that up is maybe the reptilians aren't our enemies. Maybe all these stories you hear from the gray people or the human people are just that.
Under that same argument, then the insectoids are too, because we have an insectoid section up there as well. That's the part that keeps your heart and lungs and all going all the time.
Say dun dun dun. Well, look, people, we didn't create us. Now, what gets interesting about that is when you start adding in blood types. So we don't know exactly what the blood types were prior to Rh negative. We don't know if there was A, B, and O positive. There was no Rh negative. We know before 40,000 years ago, there was no such thing as Rh negative on this planet, which means the majority of us were probably brown-haired, brown-eyed, brown skin. That's what it really means. Kind of boring race, actually. Maybe at the time the reptilians introduced their DNA, that changed. Maybe they gave us the Rh negative. Maybe the Greys gave us Rh negative. Somebody gave it to us because we didn't have it before. And Mother Nature isn't going to give it to you because it's a baby killer. A big time baby killer. I mean, it kills, I forgot, it was way back in the day, it was a very high percentage before they invented the shot that keeps you from having a stillborn. Yes, that's why you used to have to be, I know I say this all the time, but that's why you used to have to get tested before you got married. To get a marriage license, you had to be tested to see if you were compatible.
Rh negative and Rh negative could not get married.
Yes, they were not compatible. They couldn't have children. Yes.
They had to marry into another bloodline or they would die. That bloodline would have died off.
So now we have the anti-denigen D gene, I think is what it's called. Well, I could be wrong, but I thought that's the last time I heard. I thought that's what it was called. But anyway, you get a shot now, a treatment actually, and you can have a baby if you're not the same blood types. No, the Rh factors. I'm sorry, not the blood types. Well, again, we don't know if there was A, B, and O before Rh negative. We don't. All we know is more than likely the majority of people on this planet were brown-eyed, brown-haired, and brown skin. There was no mutation. See, Rh negative triggered a mutation because it's a mutation in itself. O negative is a mutation, just like all the Rh negatives are. They're mutations, and they triggered green and blue eyes, which were also mutations. What do you mean blonde hair? I don't know if they triggered blonde hair. Blonde could be if you lived in a Scandinavian country, maybe. No, if you lived in Scandinavia, you wouldn't have blonde hair. You'd have brown hair.
Yeah. It may be a recessive gene from the tall whites who allegedly have like silk white hair.
Yeah, unless you stay indoors all the time, maybe. I don't know. It's just that was also probably triggered by whatever triggered this Rh negative. And what's funny about this, if you pay attention and look at your movie stars and your music artists and your presidents, you will notice they have something in common. The majority of them have, well, that's not that. Well, they have that too, but most of them have either green or blue eyes. The far majority of them does. Why? I mean, the majority of people on this planet today, 84% have brown eyes. Yeah.
And
So
every
why
one
would
of us,
you?
no matter what our eye color are, we all have the same amount, 50% chance of having blue-eyed, green-eyed children.
It's Well, no. Well, yeah, that's right and not right. If it's not in your family line, you can't have them. No, you can't have a green-eyed child if they're not. They're only 2%, and you have to be a direct descendant to have one. You're not going to get it any other way. It doesn't come up as a flaw or a freak. Matter of fact, the Chinese proved this for us very eloquently. In China in the last 3 years, as far as they know, only 2 green-eyed children were born in their country out of 1.45 billion people. Yes, which half of them are women. Only 2. So they were curious to track their gene line, and guess what they found down their gene line? They found a Scottishman that had bred in. One of them was a Scottish, one was an Irishman that had interbred in their population a couple of hundred years earlier. Yes, well, when they bred it, they probably didn't know who the guy was. It was probably somebody they ran into, someone or somebody who was
Some guy on the
crossing through the
docks,
territory.
probably.
No telling who or what they were, but today we know where those DNAs come from. So now they know that's exactly where those green eyes came from. They know. Well, in my family, it's weird. My sister has green eyes. I have green eyes. My mom, my grandmother, all pretty much one side of the family going all the way back has green eyes. It's a dominant thing in our family. My dad had blue eyes. Mm-hmm. He was Italian. He had blue eyes. Yeah. I don't know why none of us had blue eyes. None of my half brother and sister had blue eyes either. They had brown eyes. I don't know, but it's a weird thing. But to have green eyes and Rh negative blood is a very, very, very rare thing. Yet put you in a whole different thing on the charts. Well, you're special. Or maybe you're special K as far as I know, but you are special. But it does seem like the aliens like these people better than the bland old Rh positive. I'm just teasing, but no, I mean, in reality, they do abduct more Rh negative than Rh positive, and Rh positives outnumber the Rh negatives by 85%. So you've got to wonder what's going on there. Well, they may have been the ones that created. Whenever they decided to do whatever they were doing a million years ago, 100,000, whatever the hell it was, they introduced new stuff into us because they found some families that were probably on the edge of being telepathic or empathic and decided we can start moving this forward because they only abduct people in family
Well,
lines.
I don't think that's the only impetus. I think they also were realizing that we were getting long lives. I mean, starting back in the Bible times, there were people that lived 1,000 years. It was Noah's grandfather. Noah's father lived like 800 years. Noah himself lived till he was in his 660s before he died. And the lifespan changed. So whatever they did, we used to be at least partially 1,000-year-old species. Now we were lucky if we get past our 90s. So they've done progressively knock shit out of us. And I would want that stuff back. I don't want to. I want to see what's going to happen in 1,000 years. Don't you? I mean, come on. We're at that point right now where it's going to be from it sucks to it's great.
Well, it's going to be just like it was. Not just the past century, but the 1800s and 1900 when it flipped. That was a whole new world.
Yeah.
I mean, so much happened from 1920 to 1950. It was insane. And then think about what happened from 1950 to now. It's just, well, no, dude, it's a computer revolution. Let's never forget about that. And if Roswell's true, the computer revolution was totally accidental. Think about that shit. Yeah, think about it.
Back then, they didn't even have the IBM was an entity, but they didn't have a working computer. By 57, they did. I wonder why, but they were operated by punch cards.
Punch cards.
So 3x5 cards are about index cards, and you had these trays that were 1,000 cards, 10,000 cards, 1,000,000 cards, and if one of those cards was out or one of those cards got damaged where the punches are, everything stopped. And you had to go through every card, make sure they're numbered, and forget about it. It was a huge revolution.
And then they decided we were going to use magnetic tape. Reel to reels. No, I'm not talking about music reel to reels. I'm talking about computer reel to reels. Or was that first? I get confused which one came first.
The sound would have been first, and then video, and then sound and video on magnetic carrier, and then data would be about the same time. About the 50s.
But what I meant was I can't remember if I can't remember if the punch cards came before or after the magnetic. There's something.
The magnetics you're probably, I would say, late 50s. Punch cards have probably been in use since like 52, 53, 54. My dad said that his father in Ohio had a computer for the trucking company, and it was his task when the cards got discombobulated. He had to go in there and find out where the errors were, and then if the card was damaged, put a place marker and then take that card and make a new one. So I think reel to reel, it doesn't really come into use. The government's probably using it in the top secret stuff, but on television, you're probably talking 59, 60.
Well, no, because when I worked at the AV station down here in New Orleans, believe it or not, we had punch cards and reel to reel. And we hadn't even started seeing real computers yet of silicone. I mean, when I say silicone, I'm talking microchip silicone, solid state, until I got there. And we were just so the AV station was 7 stories tall, 5 blocks long. It was one big computer. When you pulled up the panels and the ceiling panels, it was all computer, all of it. It was massive. So, and I hate to say this, that whole computer today, sitting my little 24 core sitting over here with 5 terabytes on it, is more power than that thing could ever wish to be. You
can run every space program we had with just this phone. Whereas before it took one computer to do one mission, this thing could do all of them simultaneously, going from the Gemini, Mercury, and Apollos. You could run them all simultaneously with one of these.
Well, Kirby, that's just this. So, getting back to what we were talking about, the aliens are very strange when they come to Earth. I mean, you got so many people saying so many different things about, like different pictures of this, different videos of that. Why are the aliens here? I mean, it's a beautiful big blue planet. I mean, if you were in space driving by, you might want to stop by and check it out.
Especially or like if you need water to survive, and you've been traveling for 10 galaxies.
Or like Jay and I have talked about, maybe this solar system at one time were all their homes. We haven't ruled out that Mars, Venus, and wherever that planet was between Mars and
Jupiter. It's got many names. Tiamat.
So the thing about it is at one time there was probably 4 planets here that allowed for allowed for life. Hey, what you doing, Leah? It's welcome, sweetie. How you doing? But there was more than likely all 4 planets. Okay, I'll go by this step by step to make it easier. So we found water on Mars. Okay, no doubt. We noticed air on
flowing
Mars.
Water.
Yes. So there's pressure, oxygen, and water on Mars, and there's also heat. So guess what that means? Hey, there's probably life there. Venus is a little upside down in that category, but there's probably life there too.
90% of its atmosphere are gases emitted by biological processes, and 99% of most educators agree that there's probably some form of life on there. Probably plant life, but it's still life.
I'm gonna have to send this to Leah so she can play Darth Leah. I'm sorry, I get carried away with this thing. It's one of those things, but really and truly, people, the amount of life we find all over the universe is going to be vast and incredible. So, what's it?
Well, here's something to knock your socks off. Going back on what you were just talking about. What if all 4 of those planets were once all friendly neighborhood, Spider-Man things?
No, I wouldn't say
which planet was first? What if the 4th planet out that's now the asteroid field? What if that's where life began, and then we migrated in? What if it was Venus and we migrated out?
Wherever the grays were, that's when started first. I don't know which one it was. Kirby, you mean if I had to pick a planet for the grays, I would pick Mars because 1, the grays have long arms and long legs. They're cartilage and not bone. There's not really much gravity on Mars. I mean, there's gravity. What is it? 1/3 Earth.
It's 1/6 Earth. 1/6 Earth.
Right.
Moon is 1/8.
Okay, so there's not a lot of I know there's not a lot of gravity.
Oh no, you got it right. Yeah, 1/8 on Mars.
And so anyway, your arms are going around, your legs going around. You can jump up to your stairs. You don't even have to have stairs. So they may have grown differently and been longer and linkier. Whereas you lived on Venus. Venus is what, 2G, 1.5G?
I think it's 1.25 of Earth gravity. So
they would have been a little bit heavier.
4 inches being on the planet within days.
But if the humans came from this solar system, then they came from the planet that used to exist, the big planet, because they're definitely heavy worlders of some kind. And so I would have thought they had came from there. And then of course us, which we're so you heard us talking earlier about some stuff we talked about. So here's something to think about. The optimal body temperature of humans is the optimal body temperature of Mars 55 million years ago. It's never been the optimal temperature of Earth. Never has been. Our biological clocks for like 95% of the people on this planet are set to 24 and 1/4 hours, not to 23 and 3/4 hours, but to 24 and 1/4 hour. Well, there's only one planet in the solar system that has that, and it ain't this one. Only Mars has a 24. It's a true 24-hour day, 24 and a quarter hour day, whereas Earth is a little shy of that. But we're moving, so that may change in the future. But the problem here is it doesn't seem like this was designed to be here. It seems like we were somewhere else and then we were put here. So more than likely, whatever started the catastrophe in 60 million years, 50 million years ago, somewhere along the line, our ancestors, not us, but our ancestors of some kind came to this planet. Or maybe when the human aliens decided to create us, they created that based on where they came from, which was a 24 and 3/4 hour clock. I really don't know, but it's not Earth's thing. So, I always talk about this. People are like, let's worship Gaia. Why? Gaia's probably trying to figure a way to get us off her back. We're not from here. She's like, bitch, get out of here. Go back to your planet.
You're making me itch.
Gaia's like, get out.
Yeah,
man.
we're like fleas. Another weird
Well, my
thing
new age is flip out
I
of
do
that.
believe we're the only mammal on the planet whose tears are caustic to the eye. Like when gorillas tears, they're not as saline. They don't make the eyes burn when a gorilla has a tear. Ours burn our eyes.
Yes, salt water, huh?
Well,
Our sweat, or is our sweat.
Our
sweat burns our
saliva
eyes.
is also considered to be a salt weapon if you spit it at someone. Yeah.
Oh, you mean from the early part of the song? Is that what you were talking about? Here, I'll demonstrate what I was doing. Come on, Mr. Gray, where you at, baby? I got this for you. Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. Not like that. I had a different gun too, by the way. It wasn't this one. Oh, that particular night I was carrying the 357 Magnum stud nose. Yes, a little baby cannon. This is a much more powerful gun than that one was, but still.
Yeah, what you were carrying was what's called a wheel gun.
This is kind of let me blow your chest out and watch it come out your back or your back. No.
Mm-hmm. I had one of those. They were nice.
No, Jimmy, I don't carry it for the aliens. I don't think it'd even work on the freaking aliens. I carry it for, you ever seen the movie Deliverance? That's why I carry it. No telling who you might meet down here in the bayou. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure we ain't going to have none of that. Any of that.
Anyone who grew up anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon line, when they hear banjos and there isn't a neon bar sign, we run.
That's right. Or we get out the shotgun, one or the other, whatever comes first.
I'm not allowed to have one of those for a while.
What's Stephanie? Wait, what? No. I mean, aliens. It's weird because it does. The more we look at this, the more it seems that there is more relationship between us and the three major races that have. There's more than three. There's like 6 races that are coming, but there's only 3 that abduct. The other 3 are involved in different ways. Like the real tall whites. Okay, there's 2 sets of tall whites. I don't want to confuse anybody. There are what we call the human aliens. They are also tall white. They're very pale skinned, long hair. A lot of times it's really long. They're usually somewhere around 7 or 8 foot tall, about the same size as the reptilians in weight and height. But there's also the Area 53 Charles Hall tall whites, which is a different race altogether. And at first we didn't put them in our book until, God, it was 15 years after he originally told us about them, because we have to have X amount of evidence to consider something real, or at least be researched. If we get one person who tells us and nobody ever tells us again, well, we're not going to waste our time on it. You're talking about the Kendrick alien. That's not what he's actually called. It's I can't think of his name right now. He's big, tall, like 9 foot, hairy, almost looks like a minotaur. Yeah, no, I've heard about him, and I've heard about him 8 or 9 times. He's actually intervened on humans' behalf and have come and taken humans from being taken. Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the tall aliens, the human aliens, he's actually come and taken from them.
Yeah, the Charles Hall aliens were, I think his experiences were 62, 64, something around there.
Yeah.
He says that he had to, walk on eggshells around them because if he did the
Yeah,
wrong
they were
thing, they would
they were
instantly
very
kill
angry.
him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened with him, he went out there and of course they freaked him out the first time he seen him.
Yeah.
And then after a while, they started getting to know him, so they let the kids come out. Well,
Yep.
the general told him, don't touch the kid, don't scare the kid, because they will kill you they will drop you right there on the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts. And he said, we have no rules. He said, they've already killed 3 soldiers on this base, and we have nothing we can do about it. We're not going to retaliate. Even though we could probably kill them, we're not going to retaliate, because in the end, they would retaliate and wipe our asses out. He said, so we're not going to do it. He said, we have to learn how to live with them. And that's what they've been doing. That's what Charles Hall's thing was. They were trying to learn how to live with them.
It was a culture shock thing.
What do you mean?
Cultural exchange, but by way of extreme shock.
Leah was one of them people out there at the casino. She was the one probably throwing the dice with the damn aliens.
I lived in Las Vegas for a year to the day, and I never gambled once.
No, so you missed the tall whites,
fun.
and they used to go gambling. No, Chris. Okay, first off, I'm not making this story up. That was how this all started. Guy calls me up and said he was meeting these aliens, and blah blah blah. He told me all about the military stuff. He was a weatherman. I think he was a lieutenant at the time. Anyway, and he said they used to dress him up in clothes and take him to Vegas to go gambling. I was like, "What the bleep did you just say?" I said, "Dude." I said, "Do I look completely stupid to you?" And he said, "No, Joe, it's real." I'm like, "Dude, aliens gambling in Vegas. What do you think? Nobody's going to notice aliens?" So he goes on to describe what they look like and how they did it. And even then, I was so skeptical it wasn't funny. But I liked the old guy because regardless what was true or what not true, he believed everything coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
He allowed me to voice stressing him. I did facial recognition and body language. He wasn't lying. Whether the aliens were real or not, he wasn't lying. So he believed it. So I was like, okay, well, he believes it. We'll put it in the records and leave it there. A couple of months later, I get a phone call. I think it was a taxi cab driver called me and told me they had seen him. I was like, so I said, well, thanks for calling. I'll put you in the records and we'll leave it at that. And a couple of weeks after that, somebody else called. And then a state trooper who worked a casino called me. It's amazing how many state troopers, by the way, I've talked to over the years. But anyway, he calls me and he goes, "Oh, no. I know exactly, because I described on the air what they looked like, how they walked, how they moved around." He said, "Oh, no." He said, "I was watching." He said, "I was called in to watch them because the dealer thought there was something suspicious with them gambling at the table." Could you imagine a cop walking up to a tall white and saying, "You got to leave"? He'd have killed his ass, right? He'd probably kill half the casino, man. I'm like, Lord. See, that was so dangerous taking him out in public. And then he gives a great description of what it was. He gave other details that we hadn't heard before. And then another trooper who was working the casino gave a backup description. And then 2 of the floor guys and 1 of the dealers gave backup descriptions, which was, man, now we're up to like 8 witnesses. All together to today, I think we're up to about 40 witnesses now, which isn't a lot when you think about how many gray and human and reptilian cases we have. But still, it's enough to think there's probably something going on. And since these aliens aren't involved anywhere else in the world but Area 53, that's why it's confined to that area. Nobody else really knows about them, hears about them, because they don't really go anywhere else. They leave the planet, they come back to the planet, they leave the planet, they come back to the planet, but they're not going around abducting people or slapping people around. Oh, no, they bring Leah for the abduction stuff. That's her job. Yes, she has this special glove. We can't talk about that. It might scare some children, but no, she has a special glove just for this. Oh, what's that, Frankie? I'd like to know. I mean, okay. So what is it? And how do you say it? Ascles. I don't know how you say that planet. That
Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. So there's that one, and one of other Jupiter's moons. So recently, they're both big water moons. So they found.
Oh no, you're talking about, okay. I thought you were talking about the Bible. Ecclesiastes is about.
But that's the name of the moon.
The water moon is Europa. The volcano moon is Io, and on Saturn it's Enceladus is the water.
Yeah, Enceladus. That's it. Thank you. So on these 2 of these moons, these water moons, they already on one of them. They had landed something, and they thought they seen something large under the water, like whale size, but they had to let it go. Anyway. So recently around the moons, they had found in ice particles the building blocks of life. Not just the building blocks of life, but the type of blocks that have probably already been used. Not my words. This is all NASA science, people. You ain't got to take me for the word. So NASA is now really happy because they think there is probably advanced life. Now, when they say advanced, they're not talking human life, which there may be, but that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about like animals,
Like
fish,
mammalian,
yeah.
whale size.
Yeah,
Like
animals.
not just germs.
No,
Intelligent
not just
creatures.
germs. Yeah. And creatures, they might be, we could list off a bunch of creatures that could be there. Anything that could live in Alaska could live here, is what they're telling you. So I was kind of like, wow, that's big, wide spectrum. And then recently on a planet that is 100 light years away, as a beam. So, when James Webb is doing this thing, it sends out this beam and it's going through and it passes through the atmosphere. This one particular atmosphere, they found particles that can only come from industrialization. It cannot come from anything else. So they're pretty sure there's advanced life there. Yeah, so they're pretty sure there's advanced life there. It didn't communicate back to us, and that we've sent signals and nothing's come back. So what level they are is hard to say. Is there more or less than us? Nobody
Could
really
be medieval
knows.
times for them.
Yeah, so we just don't know. But if there's enough stuff in the atmosphere for us to recognize, I would think at least this point of evolution or higher. Because our planet's pretty, if you shot something through our atmosphere right now, you'd go, oh shit, how them humans living? It's
if you were to gauge our planet on a lifespan, where would it be? Like, if it was like 1 to 100, and 100 was the end?
There is a scale for that, and I forget what the guy's name is, but we rank at 0.
Yeah.
The next phase up from that is interstellar, which we're not really quite there yet. I mean, we're kind of on the cusp, but one civilization can harness the energy of their planet and travel at least within their solar system.
Yes.
Number 2 is a solar system level civilization. They harness the power of their entire solar system, like all the planets within it, and then they can travel within their galaxy. So they're intrastellar at that point.
Yeah.
And then the next one up is 3, and that's galactic power. I forget what I guess it's you can harness the power of a star. I'm not really sure, but it goes on and on to like 4, and 4 is like God level.
Ha!
It's but
Earth itself.
So Earth
it's 0.
Because when you look at Earth, so let's look at Earth. I mean, people can argue this, but basically, there's 1 billion years of life on this planet. Now, for 200 million years of that was amoebas running around in slime. Going, oh, look, that pink slime looks better than that green slime. Oh, look, she's cute. She's pink. No, whatever. So this went on for a while. And then we had creatures grow on the planet, which we don't even really know what they are today. There's remnants that we find. We know that life existed on this planet in some type of animal form. We just don't know what it was. And then, of course, there was the next extinction. After that, we also know there was more life on the planet. So when you come forward from those, there's 5 great extinctions from that 200 million year or 300 million year point till today. 5. So let's say that's 700 million years. That means there's a great extinction about every 1.5, every 150 million years. There seems to be a great extinction. So this is weird. And I brought this up with Michio Kaku and it freaked him out a little bit. So I said, we're people forget our planet's spinning, like it's supposed to be, going through our solar system, and our solar system's going through the galaxy, and our galaxy is going through the universe. Whole thing, everything is moving, everything's spinning, everything's going. So as our solar system is going through our galaxy, it doesn't just go in a straight line or just a big curve. It goes up and down and wiggles and goes up and down and comes around in a big arc so my point is every 150 million years, we may pass through a part of the galaxy that is not conducive to life, like a big patch of red giants or something like that. Something that irradiates
radiation belt that our magnetic sphere can't stop.
Something that's killing the overall majority of life on this planet, because it's not making sense.
Every year the planet itself goes through. There's a part. I forget what it's not the Van Allen belt. It's meteorites from the asteroid belt. We pass through these meteors every year, and every year it dumps hundreds of rocks on us.
It's good. We'll talk about
it. So we're in danger of getting hit every year. Period.
So, Dan, I'm glad you brought that up. So it's always been the same 3 things for me. There's only 3 ways humans came to be on this earth. Okay. aliens put us here, God put us here, or panspermia. That's really the only three ways that came here. Of course, religious people are going to argue that God put us here. Okay. Alien people are going to argue that aliens put us here. I don't know. I couldn't tell you if there's true for either one. Panspermia is probably the most likely theory on how man became, or not man became, but at least life on this planet became.
Or maybe life in general. How we got here, I think, is more of an amalgam of
I think we're a little bit more complicated.
But for the bulk of other intelligent creatures, it's probably panspermia. Some rock hit some the other rock that had building blocks of life, and those building blocks went like a shotgun blast and hit planets. That's probably how it happened.
So Rena, panspermia is easy. It's just so the universe. This is what proves there's life other than our planet. I don't even know why anybody even argues anymore that there's other life other than here, because the building blocks of life, which are life itself, are found everywhere in the universe. So that has been bombarding our planet since the planet was created.
Those building blocks of life are actually more abundant than the most abundant element, hydrogen.
Yeah. So they're constantly bombarding our planet. And then the planet started to change. It started to cool. It started to get liquefied. It started creating little puddles. This stuff was popping into puddles. It's like watching. It's like watching tadpoles breed. Anyway, it's kind of the same thing. But so anyway, it keeps bombing, and then a single cell life form is born, and then from there we just grow. And the next one's born.
Why are we called organisms? We're
and
called an organism. We're made of little tiny things that make other little tiny things. Like all of the structures in your body are made of different organisms that make those specific structures, like your kidney, your heart, your lungs. Without those organisms getting together, like things like to hang out, we would not exist.
Well, Francis, I'm not 100% convinced that there hasn't been some intervention in man's evolution.
I would say quite a bit.
So would you say that the galaxy, like the mix of the dark space and the stars and stuff, is a part of a bigger organism?
Well, okay, it's interesting you say that, because I've been preaching for a long time that the universe itself is sentient, that it's alive. And the reason I say that is because only life can create life. And what I mean is how can you have life in a universe that's lifeless? If the universe itself is not alive and thriving and moving, it's probably means it's a dead galaxy. But if you look at it that the universe is alive and we're just bits and pieces of it broke off so it can figure itself out, it really clarifies things. So if you're a universe that's vast, this one's 160 million light years across. I mean, the galaxy is
110 to 170 million light years at the widest parts, and it goes like a jellyfish.
So we grow and we expand, and it just seems like that in our case. I'm not saying this for all aliens, but in our case, there does seem to be somebody stuck their thumb in a pie. Because we have all the old stories to start off with. That's something here. We hear about the reptilians, we hear about the human aliens, we hear about the creation of man. There are several creation of man stories. Oh, no, Jimmy. So this, guys and girls, and I get in trouble with my religious friends because they don't like me talking about this. A bunch of the stories that the Bible used were pre-Bible. They came before the Bible did. Usually 4 or 5,000 years. 4 or 5, way before the Bible came around. And so some of those were co-opted for the Bible. And then a lot of stuff that should be in the Bible was left out. But in all these stories,
that occurred at the first Council of Nicaea, which I think is either 100 CE or 1000 CE. I don't remember the exact year. But they had the Bible had all these, when it was like 50 some different
it
books.
Was huge. It was huge.
It was huge. And they took out so much of it, and then there was another Council of Nicaea and another till they got to what you have is the King James Bible. They basically edited it, redacted it, and changed the name so the innocent could play the guilty.
It's people. I mean, we're growing and expanding and moving along, and it just seems like something somewhere along the line lit a fire under our asses,
and somebody knows the whole story.
So think of it this way, guys. So let's go back 200,000 years, Cro-Magnon or Neanderthal. Let's go to Neanderthal because Cro-Magnon wasn't quite there yet. So you've got this race running around on our planet that some people say came from apes, some people said came from this, some people came from that. But still, they're moving around on our planet. My problem has always been, and I used to get in, with different genealogy. I used to get in big fights about this because I've always said it's impossible for us to come from two people. That's an impossibility. And even if in the tribes of Africa, there had to be many tribes. If there weren't many tribes, then we would have never made it to where we are today because interbreeding would have wiped us out. So
and
just
having
recently,
only 2 people, how do you explain the 5 or 6 different skin colors?
well, that some of that
You don't. You can't.
But the point is the way this works out is so recently the way this is working out is it looks like there were several groups of humans on this planet that evolved around the same time and then interbred with each other. So originally they thought Neanderthal they thought Cro-Magnon killed Neanderthal, but now it looks more like we bred them out of existence. We bred with them, and Cro-Magnon was a stronger gene than Neanderthal was, and we simply bred them out. Now, if you go by Lloyd Pye's theory, Lloyd Pye thinks Neanderthal turned into Bigfoot. That's what he thinks. He's pretty, he just, that's a theory of his.
I think Bigfoot is a different strain of the same line of apes we came from, but are they Neanderthal? I don't know. But there are several other evidences that Neanderthal and us, that they should have continued on. They had larger brains than us, larger muscles.
In a lot of ways, they were bigger.
Denser skeletons. I mean, by all rights, they should have beaten the living snot out of us.
Yes, we just bred them out of existence. That's what we did. And they're probably not the only ones, because we know in South America there's a sect down there that have a different skull type than we do, which means they're a different brand of humans. We know because of this skull behind me, which some people want to say it's an alien skull, which it may be, but this was found in South America. The family had found it. Now, the DNA on this tested 50% human, 50% something else. Nobody actually knows what it is because we don't know, but it may just be a hybrid. They figured there was 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 hybrid races that kicked out of the human race. It was just Mother Nature's way of trying to find the best people for the planet, or the aliens' way of trying to find the best people for the planet.
Best people for them, whatever their purposes.
Jimmy could be God. Jim, I'm not ruling out anybody. But somewhere along the line, it seems like we've had some kind of guidance, some kind of push. Well, we're just moving faster than. So look at evolution. Let's here. This will help Ollie out. How long did it take the dolphin to evolve? Anybody knows? Anybody got an idea? 250 million years. Most everything that lives on this planet today is at least 100 million years older than we are. But yet, not only did we evolve, we evolved to be intelligent.
There's clear upgrades as we go back in their fossil record. You can see how they started and then what upgrades they got. They got they used to have feet. Like I think there's at least one example of a creature that walked out of the sea. The fins became feet, and then at some point it reverted back to the sea, and the feet went back to fins.
Well, see, they're not sure about dolphins.
That. They don't have that for our.
They're not sure if dolphins came from land or went to land and came back. But anyway, if you see a dolphin skeleton, you'll notice that it's the only animal besides us that has a straight spine, by the way. It does. When you look at its flipper, it has 5 flipper bones and both sets of flippers. The hand flippers and the feet would be the feet. So they're pretty sure at one time.
And what's called inside the thoracic collar, it has seven neck bones. That's unusual.
And a brain 1.5 times the size of ours, with at least 2 additional senses, where we have 5.
And one additional structure. We're not sure what it does, but it's probably where their sonar comes from, and it's also a deadly weapon. They can burst the organs of sharks.
They can. So
it's cool. It's a cool thing.
I don't know, guys. It is weird. Oh, we lost Leah. What happened to Leah?
She said she had to go.
Oh, okay. Somebody must have popped in. What's that, Christopher? No, I mean, aliens. You mean, dude, they came first? Did they come with us? It's hard to say. There's some evidence to suggest that they've been here as long as we have been, screwing around with us. There's some evidence to suggest that maybe whoever built Atlantis was one of the survivors of one of the other worlds that went. Okay, so a lot of people believe that Mars and Venus at one time were just like Earth is today. And there is evidence for Mars for sure. There is some in Venus because its upper atmosphere is a lot like Earth's. So it does look like these 3 planets were probably identical at one time. So let's say Mars knew what was coming. Maybe it was a war. Maybe something passed through the asteroid belt. Maybe something destroyed the big planet, and they knew everybody was going to get bombarded by. And they knew Mars, because Mars is the closest to the asteroid belt where the planet would be. It probably took it the hardest. We're the second closest, and Venus is the third. Whatever hit Venus, it's still in global warming.
And I don't think Venus is from here. It
may not be.
It rotates counterclockwise to all the other planets. All of our planet goes counterclockwise. Venus goes clockwise. Venus also does. I think it goes around the moon. Does it go around the sun the wrong way too? I don't recall, but I know for sure the planet itself is going opposite all the other planets. All like whatever the sun is spinning, Venus is going the opposite direction. It has the opposite. So it seems to be a captured item. Because everything else that was created in this solar system is all spinning in the same direction. That's the latest.
Yeah, but we got one that, or two planets that do weird shit that go out.
There's the moon of Uranus that rotates the correct way, but instead of being up and down like this, it's on its side. So something came by and knocked it over like a pool ball.
Well, no, Pluto and Charon do weird stuff too, but it's something I can't remember if it's Uranus or Neptune. One of them have a weird. They change orbits or something. Yeah, I'd have to look it up to be 100% sure. Oh, I used to be really good at astronomy, but it's not in my top 10 things anymore. Do you know how many planets up there while we're talking about, how many of them have rings? 4, 3, 4. I know
4. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. All 4 of them have a ring.
Yeah.
And what's his name? I forget. It might have been Billy Meyer. We'll go back there for a second. I believe he predicted that they would find a ring on Jupiter, and then like 3 years later, they found a ring around Jupiter.
It's let's see. I will talk to you in a minute. Where is Michelle? I wanted to let her know he was running over a little bit.
Okay.
Before she comes in and slaps Jay around. I'll blame it all on Jay.
I thought I was sitting in the wrong studio. I was like, what? Did I pick the wrong link? Where am I?
A little God damn it. Sorry guys, didn't mean to curse y'all. Won't be live side.
While you're doing that, I got a pretty weird. I can't call it a coincidence. I was looking at the alien autopsy with Jonathan Frakes the other day and researching that. And there's a whole bunch of new documentaries with Ray Santilli and Philip Mantle, where some say it's fake, some say it's not. And it's the same argument as from 1995. But anyway, I was also started looking back at the Roswell incident. And you know what's weird? Aurora, Texas, 1897, 50 years earlier, the craft allegedly landed on a judge's property, and his last name is Proctor. 1947, Mac Brazel, who is the foreman for the Proctor Farms, finds the weird debris on his section that he's in charge of. And where does he go right afterwards with the debris? To the Proctor's house. Is that a coincidence in your opinion? There's something really screwy about that.
Shit like that's just weird, man. I mean,
I'm surprised no one's even mentioned it before. I was just thinking, I was like, wait, isn't there a Proctor in both incidences? And I'm going back and I'm like, well, hot damn, there is.
She said she's going to come over here and hurt you.
Well,
I blamed it on Jay. I said it was all Jay's fault. He was late and shit. No, I was thinking. No, Lee, I was thinking, some people believe in forced evolution. Some people believe in chaotic evolution too, but forced evolution means, so let's say
I call it species rape.
Yeah. Let's say 50,000 or 100,000 years ago, something, I'm not saying it was aliens or God or anything. It could have been something that come off of an asteroid or meteor, some kind of thing that forced humans to make its next jump in evolution.
Could be
what virus. I mean by it, see, a virus, certain things can cause us to evolve because we need to survive.
Yeah, otherwise we're going to die off, right?
So sometimes things from outside will force us. Well, look at COVID. COVID forced all of us to evolve in many different ways, which we're not going to get into on this show. Come join us on Friday night and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk
about Stan Romanek Friday night too, but we can't do that on here. No. We have a very select audience. We don't talk about them kind of things here.
Yeah, he's had enough airtime.
Who? Trump's a contactee. Well, somebody the other day says, Joe Biden's an alien. I said, he's like, why? I said, Biden just got on national television and said he remembers taking the tram across the
going across the Francis Scott Key
yeah,
Bridge by train.
Yeah, many
or
times.
by train or by car. There is no trail cars
no,
or trail
no,
racks on that.
No rail on
never
that.
have been.
Not ever. No, ever. No, you can't even say, oh, you remember this. Nope, not ever. No, it's worse. He's done worse stuff than that. I mean, so I don't know. If he was an alien, I think they would already fix that problem. Or if he was friends with the aliens, I think they'd have fixed that problem. So no.
They would have been like, here, Joe, drink this. Oh, hey, I feel better.
Trump seems to be getting a little goofy lately too. So I don't know, guys. I'm not voting yet. We got till November. I don't know what I want to vote for. I heard Kennedy picked a pretty good running partner, so I'm gonna look at him pretty seriously now.
You want to hear something scary, Joe?
Hmm.
Trump came up in another UFO thing I was looking at today. His uncle is associated with Tesla.
See, he might have some weirdness in him.
Just think about that. I was like, what, really? His uncle, John
Jimmy
Trump, did some work with Tesla right after Tesla broke bonds with what's-his-face, the other really rich guy who was funding him.
Before we move on to alien thing, let me express some love and hate about Tesla. Tesla was brilliant. Tesla was going to give us free energy. Oh, yes. But Tesla had a problem. It wasn't just taxing with the government. An ego was the size of a house. Everybody I've ever read said he was impossible to work with. He was egotistical and arrogant. And I'm just going by what I read. Now, I wasn't there, so I can't say if that's true or not, if that's just something. But there's a lot of people wrote about him, not just government people, friends, family, co-workers. They said the reason he was offered many times that he'd have been a multimillionaire, but it was either his way or no way. So that means he didn't get his money and we didn't get his technology because of an ego, which I understand it. I really, truly do. But sometimes you have to bend a little bit. And in his case, he just wasn't willing to bend. And the government is never going to bend. So, I like Tesla. Tesla invented a lot of things, which, the amount of his patents seem to be shrinking. Yeah, I said I noticed the amount of his patents have been shrinking lately, but
but they're starting to give him credit for the stuff that he actually came up with. Like, they were saying he's one of the guys responsible for the idea of cell phones.
Who told you Edison invented the light bulb? Edison improved the light bulb. He didn't invent the light bulb.
Actually, I think Tesla's design was actually better. Tesla's design was a reusable device.
And he didn't invent it either.
Yeah, but it was a reusable device, not a disposable device like Edison's. It was something that was friendly to the environment. So you get your light bulb, let's say it runs out of the gas that turns it to glow. So you take that dead bulb to the Tesla shop. They give you a fresh bulb. You give them that bulb. They'll refresh it to someone else. You go home, screw that in, and it works. You turn the light on again, and then the filament breaks. You take that broken light bulb to the top, and they give you. That's how he was going to do it. Free light bulbs for the rest of your life. Free energy, and that's what the government didn't like. So they quashed it because you can't put a meter on free. If they could put a meter on oxygen, we'd all be paying out the nose for it.
Oh yeah,
literally.
We would.
No pun intended.
And they pay in the hospital, people. You pay for oxygen all the time, and it's not cheap either.
Well, that's gonna come down soon because they have those new little compressors. They're smaller than most briefcases, even larger, a medium sized to large purse that generates its own oxygen. So the technology is there that we don't need those anymore. It'll be free. Still, again,
Kirby, if Tesla was an alien, he was a dumb one. I don't think an alien would have ended up penniless.
He does claim to have spoken to aliens through radio signals, but some people speculate it might be like the radio waves from a quasar or a pulsar or something of that nature.
Tesla was in a bad position. Tesla could have been today he would probably be the richest man. Well, he'd be dead, but he'd probably be the richest man on the planet today.
He had the richest estate for sure. He probably wouldn't have had to have half of his devices taken by the FBI and the government.
Well, so this, people, when you file a copyright, the government can use it anytime it wants to. Oh, yeah. Does not have to have your permission, not even a little bit.
A patent, you mean a patent.
Yeah, a patent.
As a matter of fact, the government, the federal government, who says on the Schedule 5 druggy thing that marijuana is not good for any kind of things, they have 18 patents minimum for uses of marijuana.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I hear they're going to be taking that law. Well, I say that, but they're supposed to be.
They're evaluating to bring it down to
Well,
3.
Joe Biden said he's going to. No, Joe Biden said he's going to do an executive order and do away with it. He said marijuana should not be on any schedule. He said, California and Colorado have proved that it's not a dangerous drug. Well, it wasn't a dangerous drug. Now, with 50% THC and 86% THC, it can be a dangerous drug. It can put you to sleep on the highway.
They got them up into the 30%, 31 to 32%.
Well,
now. And I'm talking just flower.
No. So that's what I'm saying. So flower, you'll get from between 15 and 35%. California, you get about 36%. But what's worse is you can get DAPs up to 61%, and you can get vapes up to 90% THC.
I've seen 97.
So the problem is we know no flower can be produced to have that much THC. So what are they doing? That's not a natural. They always sell it as a natural thing, but it can't be, because you can't get flower to that kind of THC level.
They're concentrating it somehow in like tinctures and oils and stuff.
But they're adding stuff to it is the point. It's not just pure marijuana. It's not pure extract. I know. And it's worse than that, because there was no deaths attributed to marijuana until someone invented edibles. So now there have been several. Yeah, people cruising in a highway fall asleep while they're driving. Kids stealing mommy's gummies or chocolate bars and getting ripped, and doing brain damage to themselves.
Well,
yeah, because
I've always had a problem with that anyway. When I was in college and just after college, I worked at one of the coolest liquor stores in Savannah, Georgia, and some of these companies were literally canifying liquor. We had this huge brandy snifter on the counter right by the register, and inside were like vodka shots, but they were in little plastic bags, like those popsicle things you throw in the freezer for the kids in the summer. Looked exactly like that. And every time mom came in for her cooking brandy, all the kids wanted one of them. Like, nope, you can't have that. That's for adults. And they're like, but it's this. I'm like, no, it isn't that. You can't have it.
No,
and
you can't have
that's part
that.
of the problem is they're making it appeal to people that aren't of a proper age to eat that or drink that.
Yeah. What do you mean, Carl? No, it's a shame. Tesla should have been respected by the government. Tesla could have changed. You see how Elon Musk is changing the world? Tesla could have done far more than that in his day and age.
Here's another good example. Joel Osteen, who should be able to change the world with the billions he's got, he refuses people in Texas who have been displaced from their homes during floods because the floors in the church had just been cleaned. You got Elon Musk, who is a billionaire who's trying to get us to Mars. And for free. He's not asking we're not paying him with our taxes to run NASA. He's doing this on his own. And then you have this little tiny mom and pop shop guy also in Texas who has a single shop, mattress shop. And he lets everybody come in and sleep on his mattresses. And it says, until your homes are ready, I will find ways to get you food, sleep on my furniture.
Yeah,
so who do you think are the good people here? The guy in the middle or the guy on the two bookends?
It's a shame that it's like that.
Yeah, it's just disgusting, really, how, somebody with that kind of money, he could easily just give each and every one of us $1 million tax-free. But I think he's trying to improve our lives faster by getting us into at least the Star Trek generation.
That's what he wants to do. He really does want to do that. That's what he's after. Let's see. Let me see something right quick. I couldn't remember his death, so I just want to make sure if I was off on a tangent or something.
I believe he was 87 if we're talking about Tesla.
Yeah, he died on January 7th, 1943, a year into the war, at 86 years old. His birth date was July 10th, 1856.
And it was in Croatia?
It doesn't say.
I think it was Croatia.
It's a shame, though, that his man lived to 86 and died as a pauper with some of the most brilliant inventions ever.
There's actually a show called The Tesla Files I've been watching, and they went to the hotel where he died, and he was not a pauper. He must have struck some kind of deal with them. The hotel had its own circuit breakers and generators to power the hotel, but the machinery that was down there made enough energy to power that hotel 3 times. So the hotel had 3 times the amount of power it actually needed to operate. There's some other cool things about it too, but it just seems like he picked the location, or it may have been picked for him that he be there. And I don't think he was a pauper, because how could you be a pauper living in a hotel, which would charge you daily?
Well, no,
daily,
if he was supplying, he might have been swapping energy for a place to live.
That's what I'm saying. So one way or another, he wasn't poor.
What's that, Christopher? No, if you type in the wrong Tesla thing, it comes up with Tesla the car dealer, not Tesla the man.
Yeah.
Yes. No, really, it does. It's one of those things. Because when I typed in how much was Tesla worth, of course, where did it send me? To Elon Musk.
Yeah. 94 billion.
Let's confuse it real good and say in 1943. That ought to send it into a tizzy. Well, the problem is Tesla could have been. I mean, he could have been worth billions back then, which would have translated
into his investors. He would not have died the way he was. We'd be using his tech right now.
He had $11 in the bank when he died. That doesn't mean he didn't have any other money. It just means what he had in the bank.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
And I'm not sure. This is off of Wiki, so I'm not sure what the source is. So
yeah,
don't quote me on it, people. Well, he had a big somewhere he had a where he kept the Tesla coils and all like that. He had a big
Wardenclyffe, New Jersey.
So, it's just a shame. I mean, he could have revolutionized. Think about it. If he'd have been able to do what he wanted to do, just think what Elon would have had to work with today. He could have cut what he's doing down in half. Frank, so Elon, the program Elon's running is the goal is to build 150 starships and have 50 going and coming all in time, and adding 2 or 3 to the fleet occasionally, and then retiring one every once in a while. Yeah, and always constantly having ships going back and forth.
And always having 50 in reserve for rescue and other backup missions.
He wants to colonize Mars in a big way. Mm-hmm. And since he's now going to set up the way you can go back and forth, it's not a one-way ticket anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. So what if you get there and it actually sucks?
So in the beginning, it was just going to be in the very beginning, it was only going to be a one-way ticket, and it still may be for the first 50,000 colonists.
The geoengineers that go up there to set up the domes and get everything ready, they probably are going to die there.
And then you've got, no, Christopher. So this is one of the first things Elon discussed with everybody. So he said, okay, we're going to send 100 engineers to start building our city. That's not near enough people to build it. He said we're going to need 100,000 workers to build these cities.
You're going to need support, restaurants, medical. You're probably going to have, if it's not a military presence, some sort of police presence. What if there's
I wonder how much a filet mignon costs on Mars.
Well,
you have to pawn your house.
Considerably higher than it would be down here, because you got to import it a little bit. It's not like it's around the corner.
No, Jimmy, I seen those things where they grow meat just to meat. Yeah, hell with that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like killing.
I'd imagine by the time we're ready to send those engineers, they're gonna drop the technology where you put it's like a microwave, but you say, I want tea, Earl Grey hot, boom, and there it is. That would be the best ideal way, I would think, to do it.
Well, yeah, they'll probably do it for part. They're still gonna have to grow stuff, and
they're going to need plants for oxygen and to soak up. They're going to need carbon filtering, and you can't do that with just synthetic stuff, because you got to constantly killing them. You need plants. You need growing things.
Yeah. So, and you want things making oxygen. You don't want to be relying on recycling oxygen. You want to be able to produce your own oxygen. Well, they've actually come up with some serious plants that can make serious oxygen now. So and that's not as big as
is, Joe, by the way. Well, I'll just give you the family. The family of plants is one of the most oxygenating plants that I'm aware of is rosacea. Those are your rose bushes, but guess who's in that family?
Oh man, don't be telling me this.
Hemp and marijuana are a rosacea type.
No growing no marijuana on Mars, people. Damn it, no growing marijuana on Mars.
If it soaks up the most carbon and puts out the most oxygen, what do? Do you
put
the rose bush or you put the marijuana?
So being on Mars, being high on Mars is going to be a whole new meaning to being.
You can use it for other productive things because it makes fantastic oils. It makes clothing.
Yeah, it does.
You know where canvas comes from?
Well, hemp makes clothing. people don't get confused between hemp and marijuana. People, it's not the same plant.
They're not,
they act like the same plant, but they're not.
But you can use the oils from both for lubricating machine parts. There's so many uses that.
Oh, Chris, you can get high off of hemp, but I think it's only like 5%. Go ahead, John. I mean, Jay. My brain's fried.
There's some people out there that could change that for us, I would think.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, you got regular marijuana too. It's well, you're going to need something to relax on Mars. They're going to have to be alcohol or some kind of relaxation. But like I said, growing weed on Mars will be a whole new way of getting high. I mean, it'll give a whole different name to, when you say, "Oh, I'm high, I'm floating, I'm way up," and jump up, you'll be floating around for a little while before you come back.
You got to be a little bit careful. You might knock yourself out hitting the third ceiling.
Say, what the hell was that? I just, it's a shame. He probably was a broken man, and in a lot of ways, he had to deal with a lot of stuff that he didn't want to have to deal with. And when you're brilliant, sometimes it's so. What I've learned about really, really stunningly brilliant people is they first off have no common sense at all. I mean, I don't know what it is with people that are extremely brilliant. They just have no common sense. I've seen engineers fall asleep in their food. Come on.
Well, it's like Einstein. He was terrible with simple math, like offering and getting change from simple cash exchanges. It blew his mind because he couldn't do that. That math was just too beneath him. But yet he could take the most complicated calculus programs or problems and run them through his brain without paperwork and get it correct every time.
Rini, what you talking about? Oh, you mean his wife? Yes, there's lots of rumors about his wife or his ex-wife or whatever you want to say, that she's the one that invented the bomb. I don't know. I wasn't alive back then. I couldn't tell you. And they weren't going to give her credit no matter what. Maybe in the future they might, but if it's true, they might in the future. Well, Einstein's like a staple, just like Tesla, except Einstein was successful and Tesla wasn't. And in the ways Tesla was really successful, it's just, he just wasn't that. He was a household name. He just wasn't the name that you think of, like you think of when you think about Elon Musk, Bill Gates, or someone like that. Zuckerberg, I think Zuckerberg's an idiot. I'm sorry.
Well, at the end of Tesla's life, also he had been born. Like I said, I think it's Croatia, but he'd become a naturalized citizen, through the correct way. He immigrated here correctly and became a citizen. But when he passed, his possessions were taken control of by a branch of the government called the Alien something or other group. That if you are a foreign national, say an ambassador, and you die here, they hold your possessions until your family or your government can come and retrieve them. That's what happened to Tesla's stuff, and 20% of it disappeared.
It is 20% of it disappeared. What do you mean, Jimmy? I liked both of them, but what do you mean? I told you earlier, Edison did not invent the light bulb. Do you want me to tell you who invented? Do you know who invented electricity in this country? Oh wait, let me rephrase that. Do you know who discovered electricity in this country?
Well, discovered the nature of it, at least.
Yes, that's the person who invented the light bulb. Yes, and so
Julio Franklin, isn't it, from Mexico?
Yes, and so this in California, in front of a police station, there is still one of his bulbs in operation. Still in operation today. Mm-hmm. The bulb is. They talk about it all the time.
Why that bulb still operates, Joe?
Probably because it didn't have no filament in it.
Because it also it's refillable because the gases that you use eventually run. It's a reusable device. It's not a disposable item. Again, something that the government couldn't meter if it came out the Tesla or the Ben Franklin.
It just shows you how we get screwed over, people. Is what it is. Join us on Friday nights. We talk a lot more. We get more in depth on Friday nights about this kind of stuff. It's hard. It's hard here. What do you mean? Who's my favorite alien contactee? Me. No, just kidding. I don't have a favorite. I work with a lot of them. Yes, I don't have a favorite. Lots of hosts you see come on this show or contactees. Lots of guest star. The aliens, look, and I'm going to tell you like I tell everybody when I'm on lecture, because I get all this bombardment bullshit. Oh, they're going to eat us. Oh, they're going to kill us. Oh, okay. They've been here a long time. They haven't eaten us and they haven't enlightened us. So for my new age friends who are always telling me, oh, Joe, them aliens are here to enlighten us, man. You don't know what you're talking about. They're here to enlighten us.
Those aliens are gone.
I said, first off, aliens don't use the F word. Secondly, they're not here to enlighten us because look at us. I said, do you call this planet enlightened? I said, you show me where this planet's enlightened and I will agree with you. And they're like, well, I said, you lost the argument. You can't. They're not here to enlighten us because we'd be way the hell smarter than we are. I said, and we'd be way
ones who
less
were sent
warlike.
here to enlighten us have been taken away and or killed.
Yes, they were eaten by the tall whites. No, I'm just kidding. No, just kidding, people. Don't
Or
get really started.
they may have been eaten by the Nephilim as well. We weren't there.
No, if they were here to eat us, well, first off, we'd give them indigestion and very high cholesterol because humans are very piggy, but they're not. They're not here to wipe us out because we're still here.
Yeah, we would have been, if they wanted us gone, we would be gone.
We would be
already.
Gone. And think about this. 100,000 years ago, there was very few humans on this planet. It would have been no big deal to wipe us out. They could have flied around. They could have hunted us and just.
Even back to the 1980s, there wasn't that many. That was only 40 years ago. What was the population then?
Yeah, well, it was I know when I was a kid, it was less than, I think it was like 809 million or something.
Hey, Google, what was the population of Earth in the 1980s?
300 million.
She doesn't know. Try your
billion.
Alexa.
Alexa, what was the population of Earth in 1990?
No.
So in 1990, it was 5 billion. Alexa, what was the population of Earth in 1980?
According to the World Bank, the world population in 1980 was approximately 4.44 billion.
444 billion. I was surprised by that. So Alexa, tell me the population of Earth in 1960.
In 1960, the population of Arizona was 1.3 million.
She hard-headed sometime. We don't care about Arizona. Alexa, tell me the population of Earth in 1960. She hard-headed sometime.
The world population in 1960 was approximately 3.03 billion.
3.0 billion in 1960. So if you go back, Alexa, how many people lived on Earth in 1900?
The population of the Earth in 1900 was approximately 1.6 billion people.
1.6, yeah. So you go back to 1800, that's going to be like 300
when was
million.
the plague? When was the bubonic plague?
Alexa, when was the bubonic plague? I love Alexa sometimes.
According to an Alexa Answers contributor.
Yeah, she gets in the show, people.
Alexa,
Alexa, shut up. She's talking about some board game, people. Sorry. Alexa's good for a lot of stuff. We use her for a lot of things.
Well, think about it. If the bubonic plague was only a few years prior to that, and I think it was in the 1850s or whatever, 15 years prior maybe, and it killed half the population, then the population in 1900 should have been about 2.5 billion.
Yeah, well, so it was at 1.1 billion?
1.6 or 1.4, what she said.
Yeah, when so that was a turn of the, well, I was right at the century at 1900.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying, Jamie. When I was a kid, the population was around 2.2 billion, and now it's bloomed because the bigger the population gets, the faster it grows.
Yeah.
Of course, more. What are you talking about? There's 8 billion of us now. 4 billion of us are breeding. So in 2 decades, 3 decades, there's going to be another 4 billion people on this planet. Yeah, the rumor is
already outgrown the planet.
So the rumor is the aliens come and stop everything at 19 billion. Yeah, that's always been the rumor that at 19 billion, they reset the planet. The keepers and contactees, the ones that are in storage and the ones that are here are taken, and few left behind, but most of them are taken off world. And the planet is basically cleansed with some type of virus that wipes out everybody in less than 7 days. Does create some weird mutants along the way, and they have to be killed. But that all comes from the Holocaust dreams from the contactees. Contactees have these dreams. It started out, I had a lady call me and she said, I had this horrible dream about Houston, Texas. And she told me all the details. So a couple of weeks later, somebody else called me. So I just put a question out to the group at the time, which was about 10,000 people at the time. I said, what do y'all think? Has any of y'all had any dreams that would be considered like Holocaust dreams? 1/3 of the group said it. So as time's been going on and we've been accumulating more and more people, still 1/3 of the group seems to experience this dream, which means 2/3 of the group is going to be taken with no questions and no problems The other 1/3 is going to have issues getting off planet. That's why they come up with these people who go around and retrieve them. It's also why they have to watch for governments and whatever this is that they let loose on the planet. Contactees are naturally immune to it. It's one of the reasons the government is probably trying to get their hands on them so they can be immune to it. I don't know what it is. We're us are probably not going to be alive for it. We may be in storage by that time. If you're a contactee, you'll probably be in storage somewhere at that time, waiting to be put into a body. You may be put in a body and brought off world, depending on what your status is. If you're going to be one of the ones that stay behind to help, then you'll be put in storage. If you're one of the ones that are going to live off world, they'll just put you in a new body and send you off world. No, you keep your memories. But in a lot of ways, you can take a lot of people with you. So.
Plus, I think the transition from one let's just say vessel to another for them is like it's like pouring water in a glass. For us, it's seamless to us. We don't even realize it's happening, but for them, it's like doot, doot.
Yeah. Well, the Greys have been using whatever this is. They can, so even at long distances, they can upload their consciousness into a new body, or it can be stored till they can be reached to a new body. No, they've mastered this. God knows how long ago they mastered this. But most Greys have a long life to start off with, several million years. But for something happens, or for whatever reason they want to change, they can upload their consciousness out of that body into a new, fresh body. And they're not clone bodies. They call them husk bodies, meaning that they're multiple.
Yeah, that's the other word, husks.
Yeah, so the reason they call them that is a husk is something that's taken from, say, a 500 DNA sources and combined into one body. So they'll take X amount from each person or each being, and that's what creates the new body, not a clone. They don't take it from one and make a clone, because any smart race is going to know about clone degradation. The longer you clone, the more degradation you're going to get. Even if you're brilliant, I don't know if you can get around it. So this way, and humans have already thought about this, by the way. Humans have already said, screw cloning. When we can just, what taught us screw cloning was the girl brought that was born in California, the test tube baby. That shows we didn't need cloning, because that was just different pieces of DNA mixed together to create that child. So we learned then.
Fertilization, yeah.
So we learned that we don't need all this. We can mix them together and create our own cocktails. No, they don't want to make them. It's like a basic cocktail, so that all Greys are similar in the fact that their intelligence, their special abilities, all of that seems to be prominent. It's like built into it. Just like if we would be telepathic, it would be built into us. Well, when they talk about the husk bodies for humans that are upgraded, they're much more advanced than the bodies we're in. More brain capacity, more psychic capacity, more strength, more power. Jamie and them say there's a built-in calmness to it, I guess, because they send you off world. They don't want you going apeshit crazy and killing people. But the people who stay behind to get the rest of them off world are not allowed to leave. The Greys and the humans, or the Greys and reptilians, said they would be too violent to live in the new colonies. The way they're designing, the things they'll have to do when they're left behind would not make for good people. So if you've made a deal to get your family in, and you're left behind, well, you're still going to have a good colony. It'll still be a beautiful planet. The Greys, reptilians, and humans will be living here with you, probably some other aliens, after they wipe out most of the humans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually and truly, the Greys say they don't do it. They say we do it. And they're just here to clean up the mess. That's actually what they say in the Contactees' dreams, that they don't cause the deaths. Humans do. But they knew it was coming, so they made us all.
So whatever happens at 19 billion, we start it.
Yeah. So what the Greys did was just or any of the abductee aliens did, is they just intervened in the fact that they gave us an immune system against it. What do you mean? I don't know. Maybe they time travel. Maybe they have advanced computers that can figure this shit out. I don't know. I would be lying to you either way. It's one of the things we're working on, trying to figure out how they know. Other than Holocaust dreams, we don't know how they know.
We've spoken about their abilities before. We don't know the limit or even the extent of. I mean, they could be like Frank Herbert's, the guild travelers, the guys who fold space for the universe. They could have mental powers beyond any type of imagination.
Well, they say the Greys' telekinesis is why that the reptilians and humans are scared of them. So when I got in, and we got to go in a minute, but let me tell you this, people. So when I got in this field, I thought the Greys worked for everybody. Oh, they're little 3-foot guys. They work for everybody. That's how it works. Then we found out, because of Contactees telling us, Joe, I know everybody thinks that's what happens, but I noticed when the gray was there, the humans and reptilians wouldn't even look at him. Even the little 3-foot ones, they wouldn't even look at him. They looked away from him or they looked down. He said, that's usually a sign of respect or a sign of fear. That's not a sign of commanding. And he said, I noticed that the Greys were always in charge of whatever programs were going on. Even if the reptilians and humans were involved, it seemed like they were always in charge. And now we know that the Greys do about 60% of the abductions. And in the beginning, it wasn't like that. The humans and reptilians were doing it. But whenever the Greys came here for whatever reason, most people said they came here from keeping the humans and reptilians from getting into a war, because the humans got all pissed when the reptilians came in and basically redesigned their experiment by entering new DNA into the picture. No, it's not me. But what's funny about all these stories you hear me talking about and Jay talking about, a lot of this is in our history. You'll always hear me say this. If you're going to get into the field, and whether it's UFOs or abductions, the best place to start is as far back in time as you can go.
Yeah.
They are great stories. There are great pictures. You get into like the Middle Ages, there are pictures everywhere of UFOs and Christian art. Oh, yeah, it's great.
Oh, yeah. Christian art all over the place. And there's UFOs with like dudes in, like, it's like how do people that are in the medieval times that are doing these paintings think of like a cutaway? Like, you ever do like a model, like a cutaway of like the V8 engine where half of it's clear and you can see how the engine works? They have UFOs with cutaways where you see the dude inside working controls over the manger scene for Jesus. It's actual historically recorded art.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that what do you mean? No, Ezekiel and the wheel. A lot of people think Ezekiel and the wheel was a UFO. So a lot of stuff.
Not a UFO, USO.
Yes, UFO. USO, sorry.
When underwater, he was in a submarine or a multi-atmosphere craft of some kind.
But anyway, we got to get out of it. We'll be here Friday night. We'll be talking about usual, but since we've had requests, we'll talk about a couple of topics that crossed through here tonight. Will actually be talked about more in depth on Friday night. What's that, Brenda? You mean, yeah, we'll talk about Sam, but we can't talk about him here. We can't talk about what happened to him here. No, but we can talk about what happened to him on the other show. Yes, because it's a news program, so it's just news. Here, hey, good night, Lee. Thanks for stopping by. It's no, he had some good questions rolling. As a matter of fact, everybody who popped in the chat tonight had some pretty good questions going in. No, people, it's just, Friday night is a news program. The last hour of the news is always, last 40 minutes. Or polls, because we're in election year. And I keep, so today, I'm loving this today. I'm listening to some news thing today. Oh, Joe Biden's catching up. He's passing him up. He's in the lead. He's got it made. And then you hear this other guy, he said, and what one poll was that? And the guy, the newscaster, got really mad. No, it's all the polls. He said, are you going to get mad if I pull these polls up? He said, okay, never mind. It was hilarious. It was, Joe Biden does things. He does start moving up in the polls some, and then he does stuff, and you're like, the only thing that can hurt Trump at this point is if he goes to jail.
Yeah, pretty much.
The money thing hurt him. He dropped 1.5 because he didn't have the $400 million readily available. People thought he was richer than that, so that hurt him a little bit. Not, just a little bit. But we got to get out of here. I want to thank everyone. Don't forget, come see. Jay's going to be with me Friday. Are you with Jeffrey Friday?
No, it's Wham Friday, but I am available for yours.
Yeah, so he'll be here with us Friday. Well, he hosts with Jeffrey sometimes too on Fridays.
Yeah.
Some Fridays he's got long because it's 4 hours for him when he comes and hosts both shows.
5.
Oh yeah, that's right, 5. That's right, and sometimes even longer than that because we stay over sometimes later.
Yep.
Well, okay. First off, if you come watch us on Friday night, we never end at midnight. Usually 12:30 or 12:45. It's Jay's fault. Oh no, it's Sean's fault. Yes, that's who it is.
We got the double Seans. They're real.
I'm not going to tell you which Sean it is, but it's one of those Seans. It's their fault. Yes. Leah is working with us. She's coming back in. She's getting back. She'll be on and out with different shows and stuff. She'll be here and with us on Fridays sometimes. Yes. Well, no, she's smart. She's been doing this for a long time. What do you mean? What about God? I don't know. You asked me if God listens to everyone on planet Earth? So I got a question for you. Let's say you are omnipotent super being and you sat around every day listening to 8 billion whiny people. How long do you think that would last?
It'd get old quick. It would get old quick.
I mean, we've already had 2 times where he's wiped us out. Do we want to go for 3?
Well, if you believe the Hopi tradition, it's more like 5 going on 6.
So, well, because people, you don't ask God to give you money. You can ask him to help you move in those directions, but oh God, give me $1 million. I'm like, hey God, I'm asking him every day, can I have $1 million? And it ain't gonna help him. Why does he want to hear that crap? Or she? Well, I don't know. It could be an it, as far as I know. It's I've never seen the being in person.
You'd be more likely to answer a prayer that says, "Dear God, please stop the planet. I want off."
Yes. You can't, maybe prayers
That'll
like
be bad for everybody.
Maybe prayers like, can you abduct Putin? That would be good.
Can you stop the war in Ukraine?
Bernice, we will talk about that on Friday about Putin. Yeah, we'll talk about we talk about Putin a lot because he's kind of insane right now. And no, I've always liked Putin.
He actually appears to play the piano fairly well.
Yes. What do you mean? He's a better. So this is just shows you right here. I wish I had the video. I'm gonna have it for Friday. So there's a video of Putin standing in the rain saluting a fallen soldier. There's a picture of Biden as they're taking a coffin off the plane. He looks over, he looks down, he starts looking at his watch and fiddling around. No respect whatsoever. None whatsoever. I don't even know if he even salutes the damn thing. It was.
He didn't. Yeah.
It was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen.
I think he actually, as the coffin passed him, he looked the opposite direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I'm surprised you said he had ridden that coffin before. The man lies so much, and even.
On the phrase we talked about earlier, real quick, we talked about him where he said he'd gone across the Key Bridge several times by train or by car, and it never had train rails on it. So whoever wrote the article that I read on that said that either Biden is lying on purpose as a pathological liar, or he's got some sort of condition where his memory's gone, or both. It could be both.
Or both. I'm thinking it's both.
Yeah.
I really am thinking it's both. No, Ginger, we got to go. We can't take any more questions. We're already into Michelle's time, and we don't want to get hurt. Yep. You should do voodoo on your ass. No, you should do voodoo on your ass for trying to keep us here longer. Oh, yeah, buddy. Should be putting it on you. But we got to go and thank everyone for tuning into United Public Radio with UFO Undercover. I hope you enjoyed myself and Jay McNicholas and Leah Dunbarr and myself, Joe Montaldo. I will leave y'all with some alien abduction music on the way out. This song was actually written for this show, and it was written about the person was being abducted. No, I'm serious. On that note, good night and go see Michelle.
Scars, you little man from the start.